Today is Jeff Brown with the Greenville Drive. You all may know that South Carolina-based single-A minor league baseball team at Greenville Drive is an affiliate of Boston Red Sox. You got a question? Turn the volume up. Does that help a little bit if I hold it closer? Okay. You may know that the Greenville Drive is one of a handful of privately owned stadiums in the United States. Fluor Field was named Ballpark of the Year upon its debut in 2006. This ballpark has not only helped to revitalize the downtown's West End area, but has also spurred economic growth and development through the upstate region. Over the past 16 years, the Greenville Drive has partnered with numerous organizations, including Fluor Corporation, Prisma Health, Greenville County Schools, United Way, Rotary, all kinds of groups to promote community health, workforce initiatives, educational programs, and so on. They've had a long-running blood drive, as many of you may have already participated in. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Jeff. He went to Tufts University for his Bachelor of Arts degree in economics, and also, get this, in Greek archaeology. Woo! Then he went to Michigan State University for his MBA in marketing and strategic management. He worked first in the greater New York City area with DDB Worldwide Communications Corporation. Then he went to Whirlpool Corporation in Benton Harbor, Michigan. And page. And he left and came here to Greenville. You may know that his father is the owner of the Greenville Drive. And many of us in this, plus my husband, are big fans of Greenville Drive. Season ticket holder right there. And many of you may be also. Now I want you to hear what Jeff has to say about all the things that Greenville Drive has done to make Greenville a better place.
Sure. Can everybody hear me okay with this? Never used one of these before, so we'll get comfortable. Apologize that first that Dad isn't here. We had a family medical thing in New York that he had to travel to unexpectedly, so you get the B team today. But really happy to. I've obviously worked with Furman in many different kind of aspects and different kind of areas of the university. Gotten to know pretty much every kind of layer of the university. I've actually never been in the Alley building though before, so this is neat for me to get a chance to see you guys firsthand, learn more about the program, and then share a little bit more about the Drive story. Am I good? Good.
Yeah, okay.
Perfect. So before I jump into the slides, which is more just kind of a background of how we go to market and more about the brand and the history of the organization. You got a little bit of it in the bio in the lead up, but this wasn't part of the plan at all. Greenville and baseball and this town and this area for our family. I mean, my dad had an opportunity. I grew up in Connecticut because he was in New York for 30 years for work. So I grew up in the Northeast. We had Michigan roots. No connection. I think we went to Hilton Head maybe once as a family on vacation when I was like 10 or 11, but no connection to the state of South Carolina. He had a chance to kind of semi-retire from the job he worked for 30 years, and we're all big sports fans, and he got a chance to go to a minor league baseball game. This was back in what, 02, 03, and kind of fell in love with what a minor league baseball team can do for a community and the role it can play in the community. So we looked for an opportunity to invest in a team, and the first opportunity came in Columbia, South Carolina with the Mets at the time. This again was 03, 04. They tried to build a stadium in Columbia. It's a much different market. Obviously, as you all know, it's a political market. USC is there and didn't quite work out. But at the same time, it was enough of an interesting first couple of years in baseball that there was an opportunity to, where else can we do this besides Columbia? Where else is the next opportunity? And the Braves that were here, someone mentioned the Braves earlier, but the Braves had, I mean, this is a really rich baseball, rich area of the country all the way back to the textile leagues and Shoeless Joe, and the Braves that were here. I mean, like the core Braves, the '90s Braves, John Smoltz and the Tom Glavine and Greg Maddux, and I mean the core of those '90s Braves all came through Greenville as they played about 30 years of AA baseball here out on Malden Road at Conisty, where Greenville Little League plays now. So there was they actually were in the same time frame as Columbia was happening. They were trying to build a new stadium with the city and kind of got frustrated with one another. And the Braves took the team and moved to Mississippi. So the same time that Dad and his partners were getting interested in minor league baseball, there was an opportunity to look in the upstate for kind of a second chance to move the team from Columbia. So that happened in 2005. They brought the drive up to Greenville. They actually played the first year in 2005 out on Malden Road at Municipal Stadium where the Braves played. They played it as the Greenville Bombers for the first year. And then 05 to 06, that's when West End Field was constructed. The team was moved downtown, the Drive brand was created, and then on April 6, 2006, that was opening day of the Greenville Drive's first game at what was West End Field in 2006, and it became Fluor Field in 2008. So that's the backstory. But again, even in those early days, I mean, I was still in college up until 2006, and because of the team, Dad knew enough about business and the like that. We'll build the stadium, we'll start the organization, then we'll hire baseball people to kind of run it. And there wasn't any intention of actually moving to the area, really digging in and investing in the community. It was just an interesting business opportunity. But then as soon as 2006 happened and the stadium was built, I mean, 73% of the town thought that putting a stadium downtown in the West End was the dumbest idea imaginable. I mean, Knox loves to use that stat in his presentation, which, I mean, I only saw the pictures, but I mean, if you saw the pictures, you wouldn't argue. I mean, the development had started, but it stopped at the river at Falls Park. You didn't go west. And Knox was looking for something to kind of spur development and bring it further west. I mean, the interesting thing now is the development has continued and gone so fast that it's actually moved past us now. The stadium's now more the center of town than the west end of town, which is interesting to watch how fast that's gone. But then you had a baseball team. Greenville became kind of our family gathering place. We'd spend holidays down here. We'd meet up in the summer, long weekends and the like. And you had this baseball team at the center of a community that just then took off, and from a growth standpoint. And I'll get into it in a second, but the amount of things you can do from a community standpoint, a business standpoint, an event standpoint with a baseball team, this was eye-opening. And to do it in the middle of a community that's as neat as Greenville in the upstate, it was just a kind of a merging of 2 or 3, 4 factors that weren't planned at all. They just kind of organically happened. And then now fast forward 17 years later, and I'm here full time. My dad's here full time. My sister runs our retail merchandise business. She's here full time. We have cousins that moved to Anderson there in the area. So now the upstate of South Carolina, we've never heard of it 17 years ago. Now it's the epicenter of our whole family, which is, it's pretty neat to see how that kind of all worked out. So one of the presentations that I give, I mean, it is a baseball stadium, it is a baseball team, baseball organization, but what we do at Fluor Field, or what we try to do, it's about much more than just baseball games. And we call it a platform because it is the stadium and the team and the organization. It's a platform for whether it's marketing or corporate partner events or just events in general, or PR, or we're the largest restaurant in Greenville, 66 nights a year, merchandise business. I mean, it's truly a platform. And we say if we're doing our job well, like, we don't own the stadium, the town, the community owns the stadium, and they're using it for good in whatever way they see fit. And from a mission standpoint, us as an organization, it's really about 3 things for us. We are a mission-based organization, so it's about fun, family fun, and affordability. If we don't deliver that, it doesn't matter what else we're doing. It won't be able to sustain the business. It's about a high quality obsession with customer service and customer experiences. And it's about community works or community impact, like I just said, using the ballpark for good in whatever way we can, whether that's education or students, or economic development or workforce or industry, or just using the baseball, kind of the eyeballs or the attention that you get with the baseball facility to use it for good in whatever way. And then you put it all together, and it's really about making memories. This is a memory making facility for the entire community. This was back in 2012, the Greenville News at the time. And again, remember, we're from the north, so we don't exactly understand what the front porch and symbolism of that is in the south. But the editorial, the op-ed leading into that, see, this was 10 years ago, which is kind of crazy. It was 10 years ago, but the editorial in the paper leading into 2012 season, the writer referred to the ballpark. This was 6 years after, this was our 7th season at Ford Field. They referred to the ballpark as Greenville's front porch, or the upstate's front porch, kind of a gathering place for the community to come together, to celebrate important things, to work through challenges, to really to be a gathering spot for the entire community. And it's a position that we never really thought of, but we didn't really understand at the time. But then as we read it, understood it more, it was exactly what we were trying to do. I mean, that's exactly what we want. The ballpark can live there in this community. Then we were, doing our job well. So it's something that we've wrapped our arms around, again, in terms of a positioning for the ballpark and for the organization. And when you look at 16 to 17 years and how much has changed, and kind of being part of the fabric of this community. And this is about much more than just a baseball stadium. I mean, the baseball stadium is one small aspect of what's gone on in Greenville and the upstate in terms of growth and the like. But I mean, this is the exact same angle shot. Like, so you're looking at the exact same vantage point of where the ballpark is, 16-year difference. This was right before opening, the year before opening day in 2005 to right before opening day last year. And I mean, the development, I'm going to get into it in a second, but I mean, the development isn't done. It's accelerating, honestly. It's hard to keep up with everything that's going on, around us. So it's pretty neat to see the role that the ballpark has played in kind of spurring the economic development and growth in the region. In the region. So that's kind of what this is a new slide, because I mean, again, that momentum, that growth. I mean, it's been unbelievable over especially the last decade. But then, I mean, you read the papers and then watch the news, and I mean, it's not stopping. It's going. It's accelerating as you look at all the things that are still, to come. The building behind left field that I just showed in a second, that Fieldhouse office building, that's now ours. We fully own and operate that office building. That happened right before Christmas, and our office is in the 2nd floor of that building. There's the former Liberty Tap Room that sits in the bottom of that. That's now, we're the landlord of that restaurant. That's a new restaurant concept that's coming. I don't know if you've been to Urban Wren off of Markley Street. It's a really good kind of higher end, kind of a special occasion type of a restaurant. But those owners are from New Hampshire. They're huge Red Sox fans. Success with Urban Wren. They wanted a second concept in town that's more accessible. So they're going to open the Bellwether in the former Liberty Tap Room space in that ground floor, which is a really neat kind of, they don't want to call it a sports bar. That's the word that comes to my mind, but it's food led, beer led, kind of really high quality food, but it's got a more accessible family, kind of family accessibility feel to it. That's going to be really, really neat. That's going to open for opening day next year. You've got District 356, which is the street, the former Field Street side of the stadium, that if you've been to Boston, or you've been to the Battery in Atlanta, or you've been to Lower Broadway in Nashville, there's these entertainment districts that are opening outside of stadiums. That this is the street right next to the the ballpark, right between us and the new apartment building that just went in. And that's gonna, now it's a totally seamless plaza between us and the apartment. Is going to give us a whole new landscape from an entertainment standpoint. You think live music, food trucks, and larger events. We had Artisphere's opening night gala there back in May. That's going to be a really neat extension for us from a from a amenity standpoint.
Tell me why it's called that.
Game day parking.
Parking's our biggest challenge right now. So that's our right now.
Have no intention of offering parking.
Yes, we have a small slice of parking spots within the apartment complex, but nowhere near what we need. We still have County Square until they fully finish that, which is still 2 or 3 years away. But it's not just, and Greenville High is that works well. We have a couple hundred spots with Greenville High. So we'd love to have, and it's not just us, it's anybody that operates a business in the West End knows we need a parking garage. So it's not been solved yet, but it's an ongoing topic that we talk about every day.
Tell them why it's called 356.
Yeah, so it's hard to point when there's people online too. So if you look at the top visual here, the stadium's to your right. The left is the new apartment complex that's going in. It's called 408 Jackson, and Shoeless Joe and Textile League Baseball has such history in this town. Joe's house, his childhood house, is the museum that's now at the top of the street at the corner of Markley Street District 356. The 408 Jackson, that was Joe's rookie season batting average, which is still a record today. So it felt appropriate. We've got the statue of Joe at the Main Street entrance that used to be down by Smoke on the Water. We moved that down a couple of years ago. And then so it felt appropriate to tie into that already existing kind of theme. So 356 is Joe's lifetime batting average. So District 356, and it's got so it's got a story to it. It's got a Joe tie into it. It's got a baseball piece to it. I mean, it's a really neat. This is a really neat space. We've got these huge archways that bookend both sides of the street, and then it's this really nice kind of paver system that it's just in really like an open plaza area. It's really been a great extension for us. Our big project that we're working on right now, there's a couple, but there's a whole new world of rules with baseball. I don't know if you follow the news in terms of kind of facility rules and taking care of the players, making sure that facilities across the country all have a similar level and quality of amenities. So we're doing some major renovations to our clubhouse locker room area with new locker room space and new rooms for technology and data analytics. And there's actually a large handful of female coaches and female umpires in our league now. So we have to provide new facilities dedicated to female locker room space, which that's a lot of the work we're doing right now. Our retail store, which if you go back to this spot right here, that's the second oldest firehouse in South Carolina. It's actually one of the only things that stayed the same for 15 years. And that's our team store, our retail store. And there's an opportunity. The next development that's coming is actually right here on the other side of, there's a kind of a similar structure to 408 Jackson that's going on right at the corner here. That's going to be another apartment complex. The ground floor is going to have some restaurant and retail, but we're going to move our team store into about 4,000 square feet of retail space across the street, which is about 3 times the size of our current footprint, which will be a game changer for us from a retail standpoint. Sorry.
What happened to that building?
TBD. I'm not sure. We leased that building from. There's a gentleman that owns a lot of real estate in that area. So we don't officially own that building, but it is. I mean, it's part of the ballpark. So whether that becomes an event space or maybe a baseball museum of some kind or just something, we haven't really figured out exactly what we're going to do with it. But that's happening. And then the last piece at the bottom, what that also is going to be as part of that complex, we're going to get about 100 to 150 parking spaces in their parking garage, which is, again, so we're kind of piecing together parking with as best we can with these different options that are going in around us. And then you've also got New Run Brewery, which is probably one of the nicest breweries I've ever been to. If you've been to the one in Atlanta, which is right off the what's their Swamp Rabbit Trail called? They've got a kind of a walking path that goes through and it's an amazing facility. They're coming to Greenville. They're taking over the old cigar warehouse with a new outdoor brewery concept that's going to be really neat. That's going to be open. They're going to try to get that open before the season as well. So you take the brewery, you take the Bellwether, you take District 356. The couple years for the new retail space that's going to go in across the street. You've got the music venue that's coming in the West End in the next couple of years. The children's theater that just was renovated in the last year or so. What we're really referring to this too is the West End is becoming more of like an entertainment district with the ballpark really at the core of everything, which is really neat for us to see the momentum and the development not continue, but then also accelerate as we're going forward. So these are just some pictures of all the things I just took you through. So this is the District 356 space. That bottom visual kind of gives you a feel for kind of street festival entertainment, live music, and so that'll be it's really great for us from a game night extension. Like we won't do this every single night, but maybe every Friday and Saturday game, there's an extension of the entertainment on the street. But then also, what it really does in the Artisphere Gala was the best example. We tented the entire street, and it was, that opening night gala, that's a who's who type of an event. So it gives us just more real estate to play with from an event standpoint, which is terrific for us. This is the clubhouse rendering. So again, this is the Field Street or the District 356 entrance into the stadium. If you can visualize this, so like Augusta Street's right down here. You got the train tracks coming here. Right now, what we're doing is we're just pulling the clubhouse footprint out towards the street, and then everything underneath it is going to get renovated and reconfigured from a room standpoint and a player amenity standpoint. It's also going to give us a really neat, because this is the 500 club area at the stadium. It's going to give us a neat way to kind of wrap that around and have a street facing aspect of the 500 club, which will be kind of neat for us from an event standpoint. This is the bellwether, renderings of the bellwether. So again, think of the last time you were at Liberty Tap Room. I don't know if you spent a lot of time there. This is going to be amazing. I mean, again, if you think of family concept, gathering spot, the energy of a ballpark and a sports stadium right next to it, really good food, and drink and the like. So you've got a really neat interior look and feel, and then you've also got, this is the back patio, so like the Green Monster is right there. And the stadium's like right over there, so they're going to set up kind of these picnic table community type of arrangement, and kind of big TVs kind of looking back into that area, which is going to be really that's going to be really neat for us. I mean, our view is that any kind of activity or energy that comes to this area of town is good for everybody. So the more people you can bring in, the more people you can bring. I mean, I don't care if they eat here or eat at the stadium. If they're coming to the area, they're attracted to this. This side. So I see us, whether it's ticket plan holder events, or maybe there's some type of something that they sell that then gives you access or experience in the ballpark. And there's a lot of neat things that we can do together that we're, really excited about. This is some of the renderings of the New Realm Brewery that's coming. So again, the old cigar warehouse. That's probably the best view over there. And you see kind of they're gonna totally renovate the inside, and they have this kind of new outdoor entertainment space, which that's the little kind of mock stage in the left. So that's going to be right across the street from from the ballpark, which is going to bring great food and energy and music and the like. And then this is the retail space. So this is the new building that's going. Again, visualize this one. So that's the team store right here. So this is Main Street Mass Market. So that's the corner. And you see the mixed use, so it's an apartment complex. Then the ground floor, especially that L at the corner, that's going to provide dining, retail, and the like. And then our team store, which is that building, again, about 3 times the size of the current space for us. So again, just a lot of different things that are happening in and around the ballpark, which is great to see. So I just kind of dropped that in. That's not so much background on like the brand and the history and how to go to market, but it's just, I think it's really eye-opening to see everything that's going on around the ballpark, because there's a lot. So it's changed a lot over 16 years, 17 years, but it continues to grow and develop every day. So this jumps kind of back into more of the Drive specific kind of who we are and brand and the history and the like. So we just finished we've been here 17 years. Our 2020 season was canceled because of COVID. So we played 16 baseball seasons here for many different reasons, many different intents. I would call it arguably our most successful season in the history of the organization. Last year, I think we kind of rode a post-COVID tale, I think, in terms of people still wanting to get out and gather, and we provided a safe outdoor large venue for them to do that. We set all kinds of attendance records pretty much every night across our 66 games. So the ability to provide that kind of healing mechanism for the community was really neat for us. The bottom 3 points, and there's probably too much text on this slide, but I mean, this is where it's really neat for us. I mean, I think that people love coming to baseball games. They love hot dogs and fireworks and the like, but the memories and the community impact is a lot of the content that goes on during the games itself. And we're very intentional about how we schedule, what we schedule, the themes and the things that we're trying to do at the ballpark. The Black Spinners game this year was a really neat celebration back in June. Kind of the untold story of kind of Negro League baseball in Greenville in the upstate, and we were able to there was one living and one kind of relative of the living, Black Spinner, this is the team that played out on Mayberry Field by Unity Park. And I mean, there's so much history of who came through that organization and who played. I mean, like Hank Aaron played here, and Satchel Paige played here, and there's some like baseball historians that came through and played with a legacy, and they played here to shine a light on those people and their stories. And that organization was really neat. Somebody mentioned blood drives earlier, and our blood connection, blood drives, blood needs were continued to be critical all season long. So we're able to do all kinds of things from a blood drive and donation standpoint. And then we host so many different events every game night, from aerospace nights to manufacturing nights to our Reading All-Stars program, which is such a simple idea of read 5 books or read 500 pages, and you get a ticket to the game and a parade, a t-shirt and a hat. It's a 14-year program. We've had over 1 million kids across the upstate come through that program. So this is where I spend probably 75% of my time is thinking ahead to how are we being the best kind of community partner and using our platform to really shine a light, celebrate, showcase, get people talking, noticing important community initiatives. And then you look at this is the entirety of our platform. A lot of people think about the team, and it is about baseball, but this is more a slide I use for more marketing or sponsorship presentations, and just to give people a feel for the amount of eyeballs that are interacting with our content on an annual basis. You've got 66 drive games a year. You play about 30 to 35 college and high school games a year. And then we've got West End events at Floor Field, which is our whole separate year-round events planning arm that we set up back in 2017. So you've got about 500,000 people that physically come through the gates every year at the ballpark for whether it's a baseball game or an event. And then you've got about 1.5 million other eyeballs that are interacting with us online through our website and through our social channels, email database and the like. So it's a very meaningful audience in terms of total numbers and total people that are coming interacting with us on an annual basis.
Hey, Jeff,
Yes, sir.
are you saying that approximately half of people coming through are don't your actual game, the other half almost coming through these other special things?
So there's about from a drive standpoint, there's about 300,000 people, but that come to the drive baseball side of things, and you add about 50,000 through the college and amateur schedule, and then about 150,000 through the West End events. So it's just those are the feet, like the actual busted seats, the feet that are coming through the stadium gates every year. These next 2 slides are actually 3 slides. This is where I didn't have this appreciation when I got here. The intentionality of how really Dad set it up initially, and how the organization is really taken to market. I still think we can do a better job. People still think they're coming to a baseball game, which again they are, or an event at a baseball stadium, which again they are. But it's what can you do with that attention and that focus to really shine a light on an important community program or initiative. And so this is a very specific way that we take the organization to market, and it's really 3-pronged. It is about experience. You have to deliver a best-in-class fan experience at the ballpark, regardless if it's a baseball game or an event. That's cleanliness and technology and affordability and neat experiences, good food and beverage. You have to deliver. That's kind of table stakes. You have to do that. But then it's really the second and the third aspect of this slide that this is where I think the differentiation comes into play. It's how can you use the ballpark to develop community pride, strengthen relationships with specific groups within the community, and be a good engaged community partner. And then it's the third prong, which is an economic development piece. This is how do you use a baseball game? How do you use a baseball stadium to again celebrate, shine a light on initiatives that have been proven to be, these are critical initiatives to any kind of thriving community, whether it's accessible or an affordable healthcare, whether it's quality education, whether it's youth development and leadership, whether it's entrepreneurism or workforce development. It's how can we take those things, those topics, those initiatives, and how can you put them into the ballpark and use a baseball game to celebrate them, to shine a light on them, and to that. This is where I think when people have positive memories or positive experiences, or they are saying, "Man, you guys do so much." It's this is and when you look at the content, this isn't an exhaustive list by any stretch, but these are examples of, these are baseball games. These are events that take place on baseball games, but they have a theme or attached to one of the aspects that I just mentioned on the previous slide. And I could spend 4 hours on this slide going through every single one of these events, but these are all year-long planned events where we have a very specific partner on the other side or multiple partners on the other side that are committed to the same, same initiative or topic. And we're planning this with a steering committee on a year-round basis of, what does the ballpark look like? What does the offer look like? Who are we trying to get to the game? What are we trying to do with the different ballpark areas? What are we doing during the game itself in terms of entertainment, inning breaks and the like? And what are we trying to accomplish? So I think advanced manufacturing and engineering night is probably the best example to use. So that came about. We just finished our 7th annual A&E night last year. That came about at the way beginning of CUI car back in about 8 years ago, and that just opened out on the Millennium campus. And Greenville Technical College and Dr. Miller, who's one of our longtime partners, came to us as they were about to unveil that facility, and they brought in at the time GE, who's also an existing partner, and Hubble Lighting, who's since changed, but it was a large partner at the time. BMW, they all came to the table. I remember a meeting, and we were sitting there, and everyone's biggest need was workforce. It still is today, but at that time it was, we have great colleges, we have great learning opportunities in this area of the country, but we need better, more qualified kids to choose from when they come out of college in terms of manufacturing, engineering, and technology. So that's where it started, around the table. That was the purpose of how can we use a baseball game to shine a light. And this isn't, again, when Dad tells the story, he's from Detroit. He grew up in Detroit. Manufacturing in Detroit was assembly lines. It was dirty. It was reduction in labor. It was unionized. It was not something that you would send your kids into. The AM&E that's taking place in this room, this is like computer games and graphics and technology, really cool, like robotics and mechatronics and things that I don't understand at all, but it's really amazing what they're doing. It's very high touch. It's they pay well. You have to go to school for a long time. I mean, it's not old school manufacturing. This is a really neat new age type of manufacturing. So it's okay. How do we use a baseball game to make sure people know that, to celebrate the great work that's happening at the BMWs and the Michelins and the Hubbles, and because it's groundbreaking, world-class work. How do you do that on one side, and then also go into the school system and get kids to come to the game and interact with everything that's taking place, to get them excited about pursuing a career in advanced manufacturing and engineering. So that was the goal. That was what we put down on paper. And again, we just finished our 7th AM&E night last season. We had about 14 different exhibitors on the concourse, leading companies too. I mean, Bosch Rexroth, BMW, Michelin, GE, Milliken. Really cool kind of technology, things you come in and your eyes would open. This is amazing. We went into the school system with everything that we were going to do. We had over 1,500 kids come out to the game that night, because we have different ways they come out on a complimentary basis, so they don't have to buy a ticket. But I mean, 1,500 kids. I mean, I know it's an 80,000 student school system, but I mean, that's a lot of kids that you were able to attract attention to and get them out. And I mean, that started with the first couple of years we were doing it. We got 100, 200 kids, and now 7, 8 years later, I mean, 1,500 kids is amazing. So that's one small example of we do a similar thing for healthcare. We do a similar thing with teachers. We have a reading program that I mentioned Black Spinners, and we celebrate all different kinds of community organizations, United Way, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts. Just that this was not part of the intention at all. This just kind of organically came about as the team kind of stayed in the community, and you got to see so many neat things that you were able to do because of the baseball stadium. And now it's also continued from a West End events standpoint too, not just on baseball games, but a year-round basis. And this is honestly the fastest growing aspect of our business right now, is everything that happens at the stadium, not on a baseball game. We've got Links at Floor Field is coming up this weekend, which is a really kind of neat concept. And think of, if you've ever been to Top Golf, where you go to a driving range or whatever. We're turning Floor Field into a driving range where you buy tickets and you shoot the targets that are out on the field, and they sell tickets, and the proceeds go back to benefit First Tee, the Upstate, which is a really kind of neat organization. I mentioned Artisphere, Euphoria, Imagine Upstate. George's here. I know we work on Kringle together, which is our with the Rotary Charities. That's our marquee holiday event. That this will be its 2nd year this year, which is it's probably one of the most special, unique aspects of using the stadium in a creative, impactful way. We turn the whole stadium into this Bavarian village with artists and vendors and kids games and inflatables, and we're going to use this for 356 this year to hopefully attract more young people with a beer garden. And, it's an event where, we're trying to build buzz and awareness for all the good that the Rotary does in the community with proceeds going back to the Rotary charities. So again, that came about with, the head of the Rotary came to me a couple of years ago with, I didn't even know Roper Mountain Lights was a Rotary event, but that was going away and they were looking for a new kind of concept, new venue, and just one conversation after another led to Kringle, which is now it's the, arguably the marquee event, holiday event in downtown Greenville. So this is where we spend a lot of our time. We love doing it, and we get to, impact the community in so many different ways. I think there's only one more slide. It is. Yeah, the Kringle Holiday Village. Yeah. So, and then my last slide is just a shameless plug of awards. We don't talk about awards that often, just because it's not like a chest pounding type of an award thing. To me, it's more neat that it's just kind of validation. And I always tell the story too that I don't think a lot of the success that we've had with this organization, this community, a lot of it has to do with this community. Like if we had done the exact same thing in a different community, I'm not sure it would have been as successful. I mean, the community's really embraced this. They've wrapped their arms around this organization. They've supported us in many different ways. And I've lived in the Midwest and the Northeast, and this is by far the most genuinely collaborative area of the country that I've ever lived in terms of people really want others to succeed. And from an award standpoint, I'm most proud of the variety of awards that, there are baseball awards, best field awards and the like, which are really important, but there's also the diversity and inclusion awards from the Urban League. And, the Greenville County Schools Partner of the Year back in 2020. I mean, that's an award for the Duke Energies and the Scan Sources and the Millikins and the Michelin's, the huge organization, not the Greenville Drive. So to be able to be recognized with that award was especially meaningful for us. I mean, the big one was in 2017, the Johnson Award, which that's the best organization in minor league baseball. At the time, there were 160, so 159 other organizations. It has nothing to do with wins and losses. It's based on community commitment and organizational kind of success and community impact. And to be recognized, I mean, there is a bit of a pecking order in minor league baseball with single A, double A, triple A, and so to have a single A team doesn't normally win that award. That's usually kind of reserved for a triple A team. So to have a single A team be recognized with that award was especially meaningful for us. So that's it on my slides. That was the kind of the background.
Questions? And if you don't mind repeating so that people are
Sure.
coming here what they ask. Go ahead.
Oh,
All right, I gotta ask you a question. Who came up with the wall idea for down here, Rapids Family Park?
so the replica family, yeah. So that was.
Who came, because that's pretty clever.
Yeah, and I mean, at the time, I mean, so at the time, it started with, when it's changed now, but at the time, basically there were affiliation agreements between the major league club and the minor league club that were either 2 or 4 years long. So as soon as the kind of that Mets experiment in Columbia wore out, then it was the Red Sox were looking for a new affiliate at the same time. It's kind of like Greenville was looking for a new opportunity. The Red Sox were looking for a new opportunity. And Dev looking for the new opportunity all at the same time. So, I mean, it was the architect, honestly, in those early stages, once they were starting to put the relationship together, wouldn't it be neat to have a mini replica of Fenway Park in downtown Greenville? And honestly, when I give tours of the stadium, it's part of my story, because I mean, you've got Pesky's, it's a true replica in terms of dimensions and the monster and Pesky's pole and the like. You've got the field house building behind left field, which has the brick that's kind of reminiscent of Camden Yards. And in Baltimore, you've now got the rooftop, which is more like Wrigley, and rooftops at Chicago. You've got Joe, which is in front of the marquee on Main Street, and the bricks around him are from Comiskey in Chicago. So you've got like 4 or 5 really iconic ballparks right there in downtown Greenville. So it kind of is all part of the story, which is pretty neat.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Other question? George Fletcher?
That's all right.
Oh, okay.
George will
I
be
just
hard.
wonder, I never understood this before, like, you guys don't own the baseball.
Repeat
You
this
own the
one.
field and like lease it to the Boston.
Yeah, so that's actually a great question. I probably should have started with that. The question is, kind of how does the ownership of the different, like whether it's the facility, the drive, and the players, how does that actually work. So we fully own, the Drive brand, the stadium, and the facility itself. The players, like the organization, the roster management, who's on the team, who stays up and who goes down, that's all Red Sox control. So the Red Sox, that's a difference between us and like the Triumph or the Swamp Rabbits. Their general managers control the players too, and we don't have any. I mean, we're an entertainment platform. Like our job is when we welcome them to Greenville in early April, we say we want your experience in Greenville to be as impactful and memorable as possible until you get to your locker at Fenway or wherever else you end up. But who's on the team, whether they're on the team, and we don't have any control over the roster. That's all Red Sox control.
George?
I was just going to comment. I think the Drive has done just an incredible job. Originally, there were 3 teams competing for this park. One of them was going to build a stadium out by the airport. The second one was going to build a stadium down in Malden, and they had a AA team that they had got committed. And then the city was trying to get the Drive. Anyway, I think you've done a terrific job. And the city did pour in half the original cost, or at least all the land.
The land, it's city-owned land.
And they have got a commitment to build a West End parking garage in County Square. But we really need one off the other side of the Drive Stadium or towards between Unity Park and Drive Station.
Yeah, my big idea has always been put a parking garage at the high school. So the high school kids park there during the day and then they go home. And then it's never been picked up. Yeah.
It is good.
Yeah.
Has the city talked about that?
No, I don't know. I bring it up kind of casually. I don't know how to submit an official application for parking.
Okay, one more question. This is a comment, not a question. My friend's son was playing for the Red Sox and started in the lower division and made it up to AAA. But he said by far, and she said, this was the best facility in all the Red Sox.
Thank you. What was his name?
Brett Netzer,
Name sounds familiar.
2018.
Okay.
He was a second base.
Okay. Thank you. Yes.
Just a couple more. We've got a couple more minutes. Here we go. Question?
I was just hearing about Savannah Bananas for the first time.
Yeah.
Entertainment-based baseball, and I thought, wow, wouldn't that be fun? Could they play here?
Yeah, I think I feel it needs to be like a separate hour when I come back. No, I mean, you can't argue with the entertainment. I would challenge how long it's going to last. To me personally, I think it's obviously, I mean, they've got a ESPN Plus. I mean, they're kind of taking it to the nines kind of thing, and the guy knows how to entertain and have fun and whatever. I mean, the thing that they do have I don't know if you remember the Spartanburg tried to start a college team a couple years ago, and it only lasted a season. Savannah has like a full-time real team that plays in the collegiate, and then the one you see on TV, they have like a traveling team that's like the Harlem Globetrotters. That's the one that gets all the attention and the like. And I mean, they do a great job in terms of entertainment. What I've told our staff is not so much to try to copy them, but we do a lot of important things, but we also need to have fun too. So how do you kind of blend the two? We're not, we're doing the impactful things, we're creating memory piece, but we're also having fun at the same time. So there's definitely things you can learn from them, maybe in a more sustainable way. But they have a lot of fun, that's for
I
sure.
wouldn't want them to play the Drive, but I think maybe the Furman team, it's pure entertainment. It's
Yeah,
not
it's
baseball, they're
different.
on stilts.
I know.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah, no,
But
it's,
it-
One last
so
question
fun.
for
yeah,
Tom.
no, they do a good job.
Can you tell me how long the commitment is with the Red Sox, and is there an opportunity to have either double A or triple A team here?
So the latest right during COVID is when we extended our Red Sox relationship for 10 more years. So it runs through 2030. It's a licensing agreement now. The double A, triple A, there are some capacity. I mean, there was an intentional choice at the beginning in terms of, to me, I would argue the layman, you can't really tell a difference. I mean, we're in high A now, which was a COVID kind of implication of restructuring and the like. So there's always the opportunity that there could be some more reshuffling and the like. But in high A now, I mean, we had the 4th pick in the draft at shortstop, the 19th pick in the draft at second base, and then the second round pick. We had about $40 million in second, short, third, and short this year, which is showing the quality of prospect has never been higher in terms of where we fall in the pecking order. I mean, I don't see a AAA would be it because we actually have to have a bigger footprint for AAA. AA could happen in the future, but you just never really know exactly how.
Thanks a whole lot. Thank you. That's great.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for